Hey guys, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. I really wanted to share with you guys this recipe that I found from Pro Home Cooks on YouTube. He experiments with his air fryer. Actually, he's an amazing cook and experiments a lot. But these looked delicious. Literally the same day I decided to go ahead and make them and film this video. Homemade hand pies in the air fryer. Now, I knew I had most of the ingredients, otherwise I probably would have just used canned apple pie filling. I know, faux pas, but whatever, I think it tastes good. I didn't have butter, so I improvised with margarine. It's fine, I grew up baking on margarine, I still survived. Cinnamon, nutmeg, I added lemon juice, he didn't do that, brown sugar and apples, and we're gonna go ahead and make our apple pie filling. So step one is to prep your apples by peeling them and then cubing them. I wanted them in small enough bites that they would fit into our hand pies and be easy to eat. Guys, I just used what I had on hand, which was, I think, 4 galas and 1 Macintosh apple. Ideally, I would have used Granny Smith. That's usually my favorite. You're going to want to go ahead and melt your butter or margarine, about a stick of it or half a quarter of a cup. It just depends how much you want to use. Go ahead and get some flour and water. I used cornstarch. Melt the butter down and then add your apples once it's melted. You don't want this to be boiling, so it should be at around medium heat, even medium to low heat. Want to cook these apples down for about 3 to 5 minutes until they start to get soft. You don't want them to be mushy though. So here we go, the apples are looking good. We're going to go ahead and add some of our ingredients. I just sprinkle over some cinnamon. As you know from everything I cook, I just kind of eyeball it. So make sure that they look pretty well coated in cinnamon. This is an apple pie after all, that's kind of the primary flavor. I go ahead and add about a heaping tablespoon of brown sugar. In retrospect, I probably should have added another tablespoon because these apples weren't as sweet as I had thought they were. I'm going to add a sprinkle of nutmeg, not too much, it goes very far. I added a little bit of lemon juice because for some reason I thought these galas were going to be super sweet. It still turned out really good, guys, but in retrospect, I guess we always see things we could do differently. Once the cinnamon and nutmeg and everything is combined, go ahead and sprinkle your flour, or in this case I'm using cornstarch, just about 1 heaping tablespoon, maybe a little bit more. You eyeball it and see how thick you want your filling to be. Just know that it will thicken as it sits and cooks for a little while. I add probably about a 1/4 cup of water to this, close to 1/2 cup possibly. Just eyeball it again. It's going to depend, excuse me, how many apples that you used and how much flour or cornstarch you put in. That's what's going to help it thicken. I just go ahead and put the cover on mine, medium-low heat for about 3 to 5 minutes, stirring it, checking on it, and it thickened up super nice. And I'm just going to set it to the side with the lid on and let it thicken up as I'm prepping our crust. All right, you can see here, guys, it looks delicious. I will say that the recipe calls for pie crust, and when I said I had most of the ingredients, I meant it. I only had pizza crust. So this is a bit of an experiment, and in the end I will tell you I would go for the pie crust because the pizza crust was a little bit chewier than I would have liked. You're going to need 1 egg for an egg wash and a little sugar for sprinkling. One thing I will say is this pizza crust from Pillsbury is super easy to deal with. It's very manipulable anyway. And I have this awesome rolling pin I bought quite a few years ago when I used to do cookies professionally. I used to decorate and sell cookies, and this was perfect, especially when you're trying to get just the right width. I'm pretty sure you guys can get this on Amazon. Check it out. I feel like I might have got mine at Walmart, but again, it's been like 10 years since I've had this. So basically I was able to get 5 or 6 pies out of this pizza crust, and I took a square and rolled it out to about a rectangle shape, and you'll see it's very stretchy. So even though when I cut it, it kind of shrinks back, you can pull it over and snap it in and crimp the edges. It actually worked out pretty well, and it was really easy and very forgiving if it's something that you're new at. So go ahead and put a good enough amount of filling in there, but enough room on the edges so that you can seal it up with a fork when you're done. And you can see here what I mean by stretchy. It's very forgiving. You don't need any flour on your board. It was good for that. Again, I liked the idea of pie crust a little better because it would have been flaky. I'm just gonna go ahead and trim these edges because it is pretty doughy where it is a pizza crust. And I pushed them together with my fingers, but then I kind of gave it this nice edge with the fork. And very important to add a couple slits in the top of it so the steam can escape. So you have a nice warm filling and a crispy crust. It's going to be perfect. I will say my filling was still warm and made my dough a little bit difficult to work with. So something to keep in mind, maybe let your filling cool down. Like I said, typically I would just use a canned apple pie filling. Look at me trying to be fancy. I'm going to go ahead and brush it with an egg wash, which is just an egg beat with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. I did a few sprinkled with just sugar, and then I sprinkled sugar and cinnamon on some. My personal preference are the ones with cinnamon. And look at the cinnamon going everywhere. It was the fan from my air fryer blowing it off. It actually worked out okay. So I cooked these in the air fryer at around 325 and anywhere up to 10 minutes. It just depends on your air fryer. If you want to brown them a little bit, you can always crank it up at the end. The thing about the air fryer is it takes some tweaking and personal preferences, but once you get it, man, it is worth it. All right, here was the first one. It was delicious. The steam was rolling out of it, golden brown. This is one with cinnamon. That was my preferred one. I don't even know that I'll get these at a fast food restaurant anymore, knowing that I can have a can of apple pie filling in the cupboard, a pie crust in the fridge, and have these within 10 minutes. Yeah, this is gonna be my go-to dessert. The kids inhaled them. Belle had one with ice cream. I reheated it in the air fryer on the crisper plate for her. You guys, I think I'm addicted. All right, guys, there you have it. A little impromptu what's for dessert video that I just had to share. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.